This asset has been through one of the biggest challenges through its time, and support from social media has appeared to have grinded to a halt. I have recently been asked by one of my very talented analysts in Discord to give this stock another gander, and of course I agreed, since I am sure that a great amount of retail remains risk on even still. Welcome back to the channel on this Money Monday. This is ARCa, and let's dive into GTII. Let's kill 'em, team. What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, do everything necessary to get this thing to live long, thrive, and survive. Let's go ahead and take a look at GTII here in the 3-day time frame, right? And the reason why I want to bring up the 3-day time frame is because of something very specific regarding moving averages, right, guys? But I want to go ahead and touch bases with you first on this. Please don't take this video as though I have found something that's going to be miraculously super bullish to send this thing up to $1 million. Right? In fact, that's not it. That's not it exactly. That's not exactly it, is what I'm trying to say. Rhino from Discord, right? My very, very good and very talented friend has been asking me here, or has asked me today, to take a look at this asset. And of course, I am going to say yes, right? I do have a GTII community within my Discord, right? So I want to just kind of go ahead and provide my outlook here, right? And I think that it would only be it would only be fair to do that, right? Because I think my man has done his fair bit here to provide some information for the GTII community within my Discord, right? So I believe that maybe it's time that I can also put in my fair bit as well, right? So please remember, team, that I am completely, what I'm doing here is that I just want to make sure that I can give retail back a little bit right now, right? This asset, it does have a little bit of a challenge to it. It does have a lot of algorithmic trading within it, and I just want to put out that warning right there, right? Because this thing it feels like it's completely taken and by the bounds of it's taken by the grips of algorithmic trading or high frequency trading systems, right? As you can see here from the even from a 3-day time frame, you're clearly able to see that behavior, right? Now, again, so what I'm going to do here is just kind of observe this as a first time, right? I haven't really charted this in a while, and you guys know already that I've been covering GTII for a long time, but ever since it started to drop into like ridiculous numbers, I really didn't look back, and I didn't see what was going on with it. So now that I've been asked, let's go ahead and take a look at it again. So a fresh look. I don't have anything prepared for this, so we're going to look at it as fresh eyes together, right? So we're going to go ahead and start off with the larger time frames here, which is usually what I end up doing when I look at any stock in general, right? So I want to go ahead and take a look. I want you to go ahead and take a look at this 3-day time frame here, and this moving average here is known as the EMA 21. That is your exponential moving average 21 period on the closing basis, right? The top moving average would be your EMA 55. This is an excellent pair that I tend to use regularly, right? So now what I want to point out here is that the 3-day time frame EMA 21 has been used here as kind of the guide for that continuation to the downside here ever since really the start of about 2023 April, right? So now as you can see here, there really hasn't been any candles that have closed above this yellow line, right? So in fact, everything kind of is just sitting right below it or touching right at it before continuing to the downside. There has been one iteration here where price action opened at this point here at 498 and closed the candle on a 3-day time frame right above at around 802, right? So that's a very curious thing that happened there. Now, historically speaking, well, I mean, this candle here was around September 19th of this year, 2024. I will say that the candle ended up kind of giving away all of its gains, right? All the way back down to that 157-cent range, right? So we're talking about 1 cent here with two added Satoshis right after it, right? So 0.155 is what you see to the right-hand side. So now, if we're observing the closing basis of these candles, this is not another closing basis, right? So because red candles open on top, they close at the bottom. But very curiously enough, today we closed a 3-day bar, and it closed for the first time since this here in September, right? So we closed the first one above that EMA 21. So, and it also has a very curious similar pivot, the moving average, right? So just like this, it has even the same slope. What I like about this is that sure, there is a resistance up here at around 799 or 8 or whatever that is. It's actually perfectly at 8. That's what I do like about it. But while we point out the very obvious resistance here that we have at around a high of 6 cents, if we kind of just highlight that 6 cents all the way across with the trend line, you'll notice that there is a great amount of rhyming in there, right? So, humans are not that perfect. In fact, that would be high frequency traded. That would be high frequency guided, right? So I see that there could be a potential upside, and this thing could notch to 2 levels. Of course, that notch can be at around 649, and then there is that higher probability, or slightly lesser probability to be said, at 8 cents, right? So let's just go ahead and kind of jot that down here with one of those trend lines and just kind of observe that as a higher probability resistance right now. If this does happen, if we do get that 8, then there could be that behavior to where we reject from that 8 immediately, right? So what I'm saying is, for us to get outside of this algorithmic bound, we would actually need to jump up above this candle here, right? So the entire resistance range that we have from the grips of high frequency trade would be right at about this top, which is a high of 999, right? So just shy of that 10-cent mark. So let's go ahead and kind of leave this here. That should be fine right there, 997. It's fine. And this would be the bottom side support, the one that we were just taking a look at here at 8 cents flat, right? This would be the critical area for us to break out of in order for us to kind of sit outside of the algorithmic behavior from this asset, right? So very good stuff that we're noticing here, that the 3-day time frame, this 3-day bar, got its close above the EMA 21. What I will warn you about is that 60 to 70% of the time, you get about a 30 to 50% prior bar pullback. So that means that the next bar that opens here, there could be a 60 to 70% probability that it would draw down to about its 50% of the range. And if we mark off the 50% of this bar, it wouldn't be the exact 50% of the bar that we're going to be respecting here. It would be what historic price has to suggest. So if we are resisting right at about, or supporting right at about this 50% zone, which is the range of that bar, then you can see that, sure, we do have some resistance, some support levels down there, but the more obvious support level would be just below, right about here, right? So that marks off our range of support. So we would be looking at a potential drop into the 345 to about this area, this very confluent support zone here. Look at all these candles right on my cursor, right? So much rhyming there. So that would be equivalent to your 3-day close, right? We also got a daily close as well. Now, if the daily close does pull back to its 50%, sure, we also have some supports there in the immediate short term, which would be the dailies 50%, which is confluent to the EMA 55, right? It would be confluent to all of these candles right over here as well, right? Many things to rhyme with. And the next thing to mention here is that on the daily time frame, your EMA 21 is landing right at the bottom side support of the 3 cents that we're looking at from the range of the 50% prior bar pullback of the 3-day time frame, right? So we're already getting some rhyming in here, right? So let's go ahead and take a look to see if we have any other time frames that closed here. I don't think so, but okay. Now, the next more obvious thing to look at would be that we closed macro time frame candles as well. So we closed this prior month, right? So now we're on to the new month on this bar right here, and you can see that we're at about 24 days and 18 hours to close. Now, typically speaking, like I said, all right, you get a 60 to 70% chance of a prior bar pullback. I'm sure that we've already seen this happen so many times. It just so happens here that we haven't seen a drop quite as low as that 2 zeros and 5 from this monthly bar itself, right? So this is already leading towards a potential continuation. The other bars that we got closed, or that we closed here over the last 2 days, are in fact the bi-monthly and the 5-month, right? Both bars of which have enormous wicks towards the downside and huge price action towards that bottom end, right? Not saying that we're going there. In fact, this is complete declining volume with declining price. So there is a probability of continuation towards the upside here. Now, if we're using the bi-monthly candle, then I guess, sure, we could be experiencing a little bit of resistance right at about this point here, which is the gap on that bi-monthly, right? So that would put us right at around 585, which is, of course, the zone that we just spoke about as getting our higher probability resistance range right about here, right? So inside of that 601 to about 649, we're looking at some resistance here. And of course, this is the area that we were speaking about that we need to get over in order for us to kind of step outside of the algorithmic bounds, right? So the grips, right? The hands of the algos, right? We need to get over these bars. So let me just go ahead and put in some receipts here so that you are aware over the targets that I'm presently speaking of, right? At least they would be marked off here for your benefit, right? So here are the targets that we've been talking about so far. Make sure to keep these in mind as you observe the chart here with me, right? So now moving into the immediate short-term time frame, there is a little bit of bear pressure happening here, right? 30-minute time frame is equivalent to about 2.078 cents, right? Which would be literally microscopic right here. It would just take you to around 492, 491. So that's not going to really do anything. Hourly time frame does have downside here with a little bit of expansion, suggesting about a 2.094 potential prior bar pull or pullback on the next bar. So I still don't think that's significant enough. A little bit of weakness on the bi-hourly time frame, a little bit of weakness on the 3-hour, and the 4-hour time frame does have a little bit of a kink as well. So I would suggest, or I would say that it has about 4 hours worth of downside, and that 4-hour worth of downside would be equivalent to about 1.6 cents, right? So we're sitting at about the 5-cent zone. So the 1.6 would actually lead towards about 3.9 or 3.3, right? Right around the areas 3.4. We already have talked about the pullback into these zones as well. Not only that, is that if we're using about a 3 to 4 hour time frame prior bar pull, there is already a silver cross happening here where the EMA 21 crosses above the EMA 55. Now remember still, team, that this is not being traded traditionally and not being traded by actual market participants. It's actually being traded by the machines themselves. So all of those rules may actually step outside, right? So yeah, I would expect this to kind of pull back into this realm here before a continuation towards the upside being said by the 6-hour time frame. And let's see the 8-hour. 8-hour time frame upside probabilities with expansion as well. 12-hour upside, a little bit of contraction, and the daily is upside, right? So, 2-day too has that upside as well, and the 3-day, 4-day, and potentially the 5-day. I guess if this really does have this much of upside, I'm not sure if that's going to really work here, team. We have about 14 cents of your bi-weekly time frame, right? So that would be indicating that 14 cents above 5 would be the next range for us to observe, right? So that would clearly be way above. It would literally be way above the inflection zone here. So in fact, it's actually suggesting that we would go around 20 cents towards the upside. Not sure what it would even have as far as a reason or catalyst to get to that number, but it would be a critical resistance right about here, right? So that is a very, very critical resistance and supply zone for the asset, right? So I'm talking about mathematically speaking here. If it were to be invalidated, it would be algorithmic, right? But yeah, that's just typically how I read price, and that's what it's kind of reading here. But if it does do it, then we kind of had a little bit of a warning, and it is confluent to the bi-weekly EMA 21 even still, right? So let's keep our eyes and ears open here for whatever may happen with this asset. Okay, team, I want to go ahead and invite you to make sure to join the ARCa Bulls trading team. Okay, you guys, make sure to hit those links in the left-hand side right there. These are going to be we're trading the financial markets every day, guys, and we're definitely, we're definitely making a killing out there. So please make sure to consider joining here with the one shot via these links to your left. Okay, team. But I think this is a pretty good place to leave off. If any questions, you know where to reach me. Okay, team. Please be well, and we will talk very soon. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Ever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well, a very, very good rest of your night and or day, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios, team.